Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Chef Yusuf Show, where we learn to cook the Islamic way. We are in the month of Ramadan. I'm going to pronounce it correctly. Ramadan, not Ramadan. Ramadan. And in Ramadan, we'll see a lot of festivity and a lot of cultures and food that comes out in this holy blessed month. But the interesting thing is, what is a Ramadan in Morocco without Harira? Harira is very famous, especially in the month of Ramadan. It is a unique soup, and it teaches you a lot about the cooking techniques that we've been doing in this holy month. Throughout this month, we're learning how to make soup, we're learning how to thicken the soup, thickening agents, and the foundation, the stock, and the broth. So today I'm going to show you some of the things that we learned in previous episode, because this soup is unique in using its thickening method and using its varieties. Now, when you go to Algeria, when you go to different part of the Western Arab world, which is the Maghreb, you will find different varieties and different versions. So when you see a lot of different varieties and different versions, I like to come up with my own. This is my own Harira version. The unique thing about my version is I will show you why we do things while we do them, and not just follow blind recipes. Okay, inshallah, let's go ahead and get started. To get started, there is two methods to prepare this soup. The first method is the sautéing method, which I will use inshallah. But easier method, it is a boiling method. The boiling method is just basically everything you see on this table. You dump them in a pan, you boil them as long as they need until they cook, and you're done. I'm being serious and honest that you can actually use the boiling method to boil everything here. And technically you can achieve the goal of this wonderful dish. Some of the benefits of using the sauté method, one of them is to get a nice texture when we sauté the meat. You get really browned or seared if you have chicken. And also, using the thickening method, you can also use the method of making a roux while thickening the soup. Now, if you think I'm going to technique here or to advance here, it's because we've been learning how to cook in this throughout this series. So if you're new at this, let's go ahead and just start with our ingredients. Our ingredients, we need some onions and some celery. And if you've been following us, you know the method of meri poire. Meri poire is onion, celery, and carrots. So I'm using my version of carrots. All right. At the same way, we do have some tomatoes, and we do have some something green, either cilantro or parsley. My version, I'm using basil, because the marriage of food between tomato and basil, and some garlic. Garlic are my optional. They do have a group of wonderful taste. At the same time, we have onions, celery, and carrot. They do marry together with meri poire, as a French technique of preparing saltiness and sweetness and savoriness all in together. Okay. Other than this, we do need our proteins. We have some gazpacho beans, some chickpeas beans. We are going to use maybe 1 cup or less. We do have half a cup of soaked lentils, the brown lentils or green lentils. And over here we do have our thickening agent. We do need some vermicelli or vermicell, however you want to pronounce it. A tablespoon of starch, either corn starch or some flour. And we do have some tomato paste over here. Tomato paste will add flavor, and it will use as a thickening agent. A lot of people do the mistake and cooking with water. We always thought that we never cook with water. We always use either starch, stock, or broth. And we did go through this in the first and second episode of this series. So please go ahead and refer back to how to make the best broth, because making the best soup requires the best broth or stock. A lot of people will use water. Why? Because, well, everything, when you cook everything here, it will become really a stock of these vegetables, especially if you have meat. So everything will be extracted to the water. We can afford to use some stock, because we did so much in the first episode that we still have a bucket of them in the freezer. So let's go ahead and add some heat. Sautéing method. Difference between sautéing method is you want to get the pan really hot, and you want to add some fat. We have some olive oil here. If you want to add some butter, recipes will require you to add some butter, but the reason for this is to cook everything we have. I did not use any proteins. Our proteins are lentils and chickpeas. If you have some meat, beef, lamb, chopped lamb, you can use those as well. And we'll go ahead and start the traditional sautéing method with some onions. If you have the proteins, you'll go ahead and add the meat right now. Go ahead and add the meri poire, onions and celery. Meri poire is 2 parts onion, 1 part celery, 1 part carrots. And I forgot to talk about our herbs and spices. Herbs and spices, of course, we need some saffron. Only if you can afford saffron. If you can't afford saffron, you put some turmeric, which will add color. You have some paprika here. And optional, if you want to use ground ginger or ground cinnamon, that is really up to you. Of course, salt and pepper upon the way you like it, the way you like to taste it. So at this point, let's go ahead and add the gazpacho beans. This is canned. If it's fresh, if it's dried, you want to soak them in water until they become soft. And you don't have to cook them because the cooking process will start right now. Okay, go ahead and add the soaked lentils next. And we will add our combination of tomato, basil and some garlic. We'll go ahead and crush the garlic with the knife method. Go ahead and crush the garlic so you can peel them easily. And next we'll go chopped basil. Chopped basil, of course, in the traditional, you will use some maybe cilantro or some parsley mixed together, but we like to add basil when it comes to anything with tomatoes, and you add them with garlic and you will have really something really special. Go ahead and add those as well. Okay, and this is where you go ahead and add your water, or you're gonna add the broth. We do have some broth here. How much broth do you add? You add just enough for 2 people, I guess. And technically, this is the sautéing method. Sautéing method, you start with fat. It's a dry heat method, and then you add your vegetables on top of them as well. Now, remember in older episodes, we talked about thickening agents and how to thicken the soup. I'm going to show you the traditional method of thickening the soup. But while we were cooking the onions and the meat and the celery, we could have added the flour, the starches to make a roux. And when we do that, it will cook. And the benefit or the advantage of that is that the tastiness of the raw flour will be eliminated, will be cooked. So when we add the liquid, it will start thickening. Now the disadvantage of that is as soon as we add the water, the roux starts, the starches starts to explode, and the thickening will start. By the time everything is well cooked, it might be overcooked, Allahu alam. So in this case, we'll use the traditional method, which I will show you in 1 minute. Go ahead and add the tomato paste. All right, while this is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and lower the heat just a little bit. Okay, while this is cooking, let's go ahead and prepare our tomatoes. What are we doing exactly with the tomatoes? We are making tomato sauce, basically. This is what we're doing. And we learned in previous episode how to make tomato concassé and, put them in boiling water so you can peel them and seed them and then cut them. So if you can refer back to one of these episodes. Today we don't have time, so we'll just use the simple method, which is using a food processor. Just go ahead and dice them to big chunks so they can fit. Yes, brothers and sisters, simplicity is the theme of this soup. Technically, we are basically done here. We just want this to cook and slowly cook, maybe I should say. Now, this is our spices here. We do have some paprika, some sweet paprika, maybe some turmeric instead of saffron. If you can afford saffron, add some saffron. Very interesting cooking with saffron. If you cook once with saffron, you will get addicted to real saffron. A lot of places, unfortunately, they sell lower grade of saffron. People do not appreciate, but saffron is something that is unbelievable. It is something that you have to experience. Optional, we have ground ginger or ground cinnamon. It's up to you. I like to add my spices in the end, just like you add the tea bag in the water. Really, it doesn't need a lot of cooking. Add that. Go ahead and season it with salt and pepper according to your taste. If you have high blood pressure, put less salt. If you don't, then go put some more salt. Okay, so some time have passed by, and we want to stir this occasionally because of the, you don't want anything to stick in the bottom. At this point, we'll go ahead and add the vermicelli. This will start to cook like a pasta, and as also we'll have our starches that we mixed with water or with stock. We'll use our strainer that we used for the lentils. This will avoid us to, avoid the clumps over here. Make sure you stir this. Very similar to slurry. And the cornstarch will mix or thicken the soup as well. So this is my quiz, guys. If we have a cooking school, this is my test for you. Did we have to add the starch, or can we not add the starch? This is your homework. Try to make the soup without the starch. Tell me what you guys think. I'm just gonna go ahead and plate this, show you how it will look, and we will, of course, serve this with some wonderful dates. Okay, after 30 minutes or 45 minutes of cooking, we brought out some plates, some dates. It will go great with dates. I have a slice of lemon over here. Go ahead and add the slice of lemon on the side. We have some dates on the side, some lemon, if you want to add some of the citric juice. We'll go ahead and add some of our beautiful harira. Now remember to keep stirring this occasionally, because you have a lot of heavy material that will sink on the bottom, and if you do not stir them, they might burn. So get yourself some of the chickpeas, some of the wonderful lentils. You can add some herbs on top, and you present this with dates, of course 3 dates to break your fast. And I hope you enjoyed our version of harira. What did we learn today? We learned a lot of things actually. We used a lot of the thickening method in this soup. Thickening method that we learned that using the starches from the vegetable itself, like the chickpeas itself or the lentils themselves, they have a lot of starches and they do help to thicken the soup. Second thing is we used the thick sauce of the tomato paste. When you add tomato paste to any liquid, voila, you have a thick sauce or thick soup. So this is another thickening method. Third thickening method is using the starches from the flour, mixing it with the water, and this is the heaviest one that will thicken really well. So using the starch, using the vegetable themselves, using the pureed method, we purified some tomatoes. So this is itself a thickening agent. And also using the versimil also helps with thickening because it absorbs the water. It does have starch, and they all help in thickening the soup. So everything here is thickened by thicken. We do have it is a balanced meal. We did have very beautiful flavors from the combination of onion, celery, carrots. This is Mary poire, and also the Spaniard tomatoes, garlic, and basils. At the protein side, we do have some beautiful meat protein to go with this. I made this totally vegetarian, so you can add meat, beef, lamb, veal, whatever you want. You have the protein from the lentils and from the hummus bean or the chickpeas themselves. So alhamdulillah, this is a balanced meal. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. When we come back, I'm gonna show you this utensil over here. This is called a tajin, used in Morocco, and it's very unique. It have some of the advantages. So I'll show you how to use this when we come back after the break. Don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.